From Pacifica, this is Democracy Now!
I don't like slogans very much, but Build Back Better suggests that Haitians do have something to build on, and I would say that Haitians have the Haitian Revolution to build on. You know, that's a pretty glorious past in so many ways. You know, they followed through on what other people were talking about: liberty, equality, fraternity. They banned slavery, and they were the first to do it. And you know, Haitians believe, as you know, that they're being punished for. They were punished for that for 2 centuries, for ending slavery.
Renowned physician Dr. Paul Farmer, co-founder of Partners in Health. He's been working in Haiti for nearly 3 decades. Now he's UN Deputy Special Envoy for Haiti, working under President Bill Clinton in post-earthquake recovery efforts.
Some of the rubble gets cleared out little by little, but you know, it still looks like there's just been an earthquake there. And it will look that way for a while, because rebuilding after such a colossal catastrophe is going to take many, many years.
Today, we spend the hour with Dr. Paul Farmer. He's just written a new book, Haiti, After the Earthquake. All that and more coming up. Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Talks in Washington are growing increasingly contentious as Democrats and Republicans seek a budget deal that would raise the federal debt limit before an August 2nd deadline. On Wednesday, President Obama reportedly walked out of a meeting with House Republicans after the two sides made no headway on an agreement. According to Reuters, Obama said, quote, "I've reached my limit. This may bring my presidency down, but I will not yield on this." Republicans are pushing for massive spending cuts while rejecting Democratic calls to increase revenues, in part by raising taxes on corporations and wealthy households. Republican leaders have also begun internal debate over a proposal from Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell to raise the debt ceiling by requiring President Obama to seek congressional approval for up to $2.5 trillion in 3 installments. House Republicans say the plan would erode their leverage to ensure spending cuts, while supporters say it would spare Republicans of blame for a perilous credit default before the 2012 elections. The Obama administration, meanwhile, continues to rule out the prospect of cuts to Social Security and Medicare benefits under a bipartisan deal. At the White House, Press Secretary Jay Carney was asked about President Obama's campaign vows to protect Social Security.
President Obama in 2008, in a taped address to AARP, said John McCain's campaign has suggested that the best answer for the growing pressures on Social Security might be to cut cost of living adjustments or raise the retirement age. Let me be clear, I will not do either. Is that a promise that has gone by the by, at least regarding cost of living adjustments?
Again, I will not get into the specifics of ideas that have been considered. What I will say is that the President has been willing to get outside of his comfort zone to discuss different measures.
Talks are scheduled to continue at the White House today. On Wednesday, the U.S. dollar fell against most major currencies after the Moody's credit rating agency warned the U.S. may lose its top credit rating unless the debt ceiling is raised. Testifying in Congress, Federal Reserve Chair Ben Bernanke said a U.S. default on its debt payments would be, quote, calamitous, adding that the Fed is prepared to intervene in the economy should it suffer further contraction.
The possibility remains that the recent economic weakness may prove more persistent than expected, and that deflationary risks might reemerge, implying a need for additional policy support. The most recent data attests to the continuing weakness of the labor market. The unemployment rate increased to 9.2% in June, and gains in non-farm payroll employment were below expectations for a second month.
The United Nations has disclosed civilian deaths in Afghanistan are at a new record high. The first half of this year were the deadliest 6 months for Afghan civilians since the war began in 2001. The UN's Director of Human Rights in Afghanistan, Georgette Gagnon, said deaths rose nearly 30% from the same period last year.
We at UNAMA documented 1,462 civilian deaths for this period, with 80% attributed to the anti-government elements, an increase of 28% in civilian deaths from the same period in 2010.
In other news from Afghanistan, at least 3 people have been killed and 13 wounded in an apparent suicide attack on a Kandahar mosque hosting a memorial service for the slain brother of Afghan President Hamid Karzai. Ahmed Wali Karzai was shot to death on Tuesday. The bombing comes one day after Karzai's funeral in his family's ancestral village. During the service, Afghan President Karzai addressed the Taliban's claims of responsibility for murdering his brother.
The
Taliban said they were proud to kill my brother. My message for the Taliban is stop killing your own people. It is easy to kill, and anyone can do it. But the real man is the one who can save people's lives.
At least 18 people have been killed in a series of blasts in the Indian city of Mumbai. It was the deadliest attack to hit Mumbai since 166 people were killed in a 2008 mass shooting. Indian officials have blamed the Pakistan-based militant group Lashkar-e-Taiba. Mumbai Police Commissioner Arup Patnaik urged residents to maintain calm.
We have put the entire city on red alert. There have been all these nakabandis have been enforced. Sealing has been done. I will like to take this opportunity to appeal to everyone to keep calm. It's a very unfortunate incident.
Media tycoon Rupert Murdoch has withdrawn his bid for the broadcaster Sky B as the phone hacking scandal continues to unfold. Murdoch's decision comes shortly after British lawmakers voted unanimously to urge his media conglomerate News Corp to drop its takeover attempt. Murdoch and his son James Murdoch have also been summoned to testify before a British parliamentary committee, but have so far refused to comply. On Wednesday, British Prime Minister David Cameron called for fundamental changes at News Corp.
There needs to be root and branch change at this entire organisation. And I think it is now become increasingly clear that while everybody, to start with, wanted in some way to separate what was happening at News International and what is happening with Sky B, that is simply not possible. What has happened at this company is disgraceful. It's got to be addressed at every level, and they should stop thinking about mergers when they've got to sort out the mess they've created.
Rupert Murdoch is also facing mounting pressure in the U.S. amidst allegations journalists at his News of the World newspaper hacked into the voicemail of Americans killed in the World Trade Center attack nearly a decade ago. On Wednesday, a number of Democratic and Republican lawmakers joined calls for a Justice Department probe. At the White House, Press Secretary Jake Carney declined to weigh in on the prospect of an investigation.
It's not on our radar in the sense that we're having discussions about it. Everyone reads newspapers and catches the news reports, and so we're aware of it, but not that it's not you know, we have some other issues we're dealing with. In terms of the Department of Justice and the SEC, I would just refer you to them.
Murdoch owns a number of media outlets in the U.S., including the Wall Street Journal, which he purchased in 2007. On Wednesday, a number of members of the family that used to control the newspaper, the Bancrofts, said they would not have allowed the sale had they known of the phone hacking. Libyan rebels have retaken control of a key village south of Tripoli in ongoing clashes with forces loyal to Muammar Gaddafi. Rebels had seized Qualish a week ago, only to lose it Wednesday morning before retaking it again by nightfall. The rebels, meanwhile, are facing calls to halt alleged abuses in a number of seized towns. In a statement, Human Rights Watch cited allegations of attacks on Gaddafi supporters as well as looting and arson. Meeting with Russia's foreign minister in Washington, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton addressed reports Gaddafi's talks with France in a bid to end the violence.
We are still getting contradictory signals from Colonel Gaddafi's camp. He has yet to meet the red lines that are set by the international community to cease violence against his people, withdraw his forces, and step down from power. So although neither of us can predict to you the exact day or hour that Gaddafi will leave power, we do understand and agree that his days are numbered.
The Egyptian government has announced the dismissal of over 650 senior police officers amidst growing protests calling for speedier punishment of forces responsible for the deaths of hundreds of protesters during the uprising that ousted former President Hosni Mubarak. A crowd of demonstrators have remained camped out in Cairo's Tahrir Square following a massive protest last Friday. The Egyptian government has also vowed to reshuffle its cabinet as well as raise the minimum wage. A British court has deferred a final decision on WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange's appeal of a court order that he be extradited to Sweden to face questioning over sexual misconduct allegations by 2 women. Assange's attorney has argued Assange's accusers may have found their contact with him disrespectful, but say his actions don't amount to crimes in England and therefore his extradition must be blocked. On Wednesday, a judicial panel said it would decide on the case at a later date. Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez has acknowledged for the first time he may seek radiation therapy or chemotherapy as part of ongoing treatment for colon cancer. Chavez had a tumor removed during a procedure in Cuba last month. And the American Civil Liberties Union has filed a lawsuit on behalf of the University of Michigan professor and Middle East expert Juan Cole over claims the Bush administration tried to smear Cole for criticizing the Iraq War. Last month, a former senior CIA official revealed the Bush White House asked the CIA to uncover damaging personal information about Professor Cole in a bid to discredit him. The lawsuit calls on the government to turn over any information that may have been collected about Cole. You can go to our headlines and see our interview with Juan Cole at democracynow.org. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman.